Let's go over some of the muddiest concepts in chapter 1. Let's look at the idea of place value. Let's take a look at the number 80,262. Each digit is in a particular place, and each place has a value associated with it. The 8, let's see, if this is the units, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands, the 10,000s. So the 8 is worth 10,000 objects. So in expanded form, 8 represents 80,000. We don't have to do anything with the 0, but we're going to add on to that the place value of the 2 in the third spot to the left. This 2 is worth 100 at a time, so that's at 200. The 6 is in the 10 spot, so that's add 60. This 2 is different than that 2 because it's in the unit spot, so it's only worth single object at a time, or 2. So this here is the expanded form of the number, putting the meaning behind each of the digits. This skill comes out of chapter 1, section 4. Actually, it's problem 1.453. And that problem says that we have an appliance store that advertises the sale of dishwashers. One of them is $6.99. Another one is $1,599. And the third one is $599. We want to round each cost to the nearest hundred to estimate the total cost. We do not want the total cost. We want an estimate. So if we're going to round to the hundredths spot, $6.99 rounded is 700. $1,599 to the hundredth spot is 1,600. $5.99 to the hundredth spot is 600. And now if we add this column, this is the estimate. A lot of you when you were doing these estimation problems, were given the actual total or difference. We want the estimated value. So we have 0, 0, 6 and 6 is 12, plus 7 is 19, carry the 1. So the estimated value of this total is 2,900. This skill comes from 1.59, and it says use the distributive property to rewrite the expression. The expression is 2 parentheses 3 plus 7. We want to rewrite it, but we do not want to come up with the actual result. So showing the distribution property, we would take the 2 times the 3, and then we would add to that the 2 times the 7. That is showing the distribution property. We do not want to come up with the answer. The answer would be 6 plus 14. The answer would be 20, but we do not want to simplify. We want to show the distribution idea. Distribution really is like working at a job. Let's say you work 3 hours one day, 7 hours the other day, and you were getting only $2 an hour. You could figure your answer 2 different ways: by distribution, calculated the value earned each day, and then adding the results, or adding all the hours worked and multiplying by the hourly pay. You are still going to get the same answer. So we need to pay attention to the directions, otherwise we're going to be marked wrong. A similar problem would be number 1.4.43, and it says estimate the difference by rounding each number to the nearest hundred. The problem is we have 1,772, and we want to subtract from it 1,392. We don't want the actual difference. We want to estimate what the difference would be. So we're going to round, and we're rounding to the nearest hundred. This is the 100 spot, so that rounded would be 1800. and rounded to the 100 spot, this will be 1400. And now we're going to subtract 1400 from 1800 would be a estimated difference of 400. Here we're going to talk about order of operations, problem 1.7.57. And the problem is parentheses 9 plus 3 to be squared, close parentheses, divided by 9 times 6 to be squared. We have PEMDAS, which says parentheses first, exponents next, multiply, divide left to right, and add, subtract left to right. Well, since we have a parentheses, we go over here, and within the parentheses, we have a choice between adding and squaring. So we're going to square first. Squaring means repeat. So 3 times 3, that would be 9. Divide. Since the far right is separated from the left, we can go over here and square before we multiply. So it's 9 times 6 squared is not 6 times 2, that would be 12. It's 6 times 6. You repeat the 6. So 6 times 6 is 36. Now we're going to come back. We still have a parenthesis here, so we're going to add and get 18 divided by, we have divided by 9 times 36. Let me put that down. We have a choice between dividing and multiplying. It says as we go left to right, so we need to divide first. 18 divided by 9 would be 2. And finally, we would say multiplication of 2 times 36 would be 72. So we're not allowed to do this multiplication until we've done this division because there's no grouping symbol and division came before the multiplication. A number of us had problems translating, and it's a challenge. We have to get used to it. With practice, we get better. Problem 1.8.77. We want to write the phrase as a variable expression using x as the unknown. The sum of 7 and a number added to the product of 3 and the number. Sometimes you have to read it over and over again and read it slowly. Don't try to listen to where you need to pause. It's almost like being an actor on a stage. You need to pause to see the reaction of the audience. So reading it again, the sum means add of what? 7 added to a number. The number is x. The sum of 7 and a number, that is going to be added. That is going to be added to a product of 2 quantities, and the quantities are 3 and the number. So we're summing 7 and the number, and that sum is then added to a product 3 times x. And finally, another translation, this one being 1.8.87. By the way, the problems I'm focusing on is where the class had the most challenge or the most difficulty. These are problems that most people had got wrong, and that's why I'm going over these. So this one says 19 is to be decreased. Decrease means subtract by 3 times some value, and that value is x. So 19 decreased, we're going to decrease it, we're going to take away from it 3 times the number, 3x. So that ends the muddiest moments for chapter 1.